Everyone's talking about AI, but who's actually implementing it? I'm Jenna Ahern, the CEO of Guardian Owl Digital, a search engine marketing firm rooted in integrity and transparency in the digital age. AI and marketing are at a crossroads, and the technology is moving faster than most business leaders can keep up with. That's why we created Go AI, a podcast series where we interview leaders in various industries about all things artificial intelligence. With each guest, my co-host Connor Rafferty and I will explore the applications that this rapidly evolving technology has for business leaders and their industries. Let's go AI. I'm so excited to introduce the next Go AI podcast guest. I have known Bob Patterson, the CEO and founder of Patterson and Company CPAs, for a long time, both personally and from a client perspective. And so I think the world of him and Melina Patterson. And Bob, give us a brief intro for those of our guests that don't know you.
I became a CPA. I'll talk about my CPA starting there. I became a CPA after going back to school at U of L at age 50. I was clearly the oldest person in the class. Previously, I was the operating partner of a regional coffee company. I did that for 25 years. It was based here in Louisville. And in that role, we sold premium coffees and teas for restaurants and hotels throughout the Midwest. My undergrad degree is in business at Liberty University, and I went back my accounting certificates from U of L. I'm married. I've got 2 kids and 5 grandkids.
And they keep you busy. You travel a lot.
For sure. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm a pilot, so it helps. I'm really a non-traditional CPA. What I mean by that is I started in business and then went back and got my CPA license and started at my firm. Totally opposite of what most people do. But I really think it helped me because I can bring the business perspective to what we do in our firm, and it helps me. I've been there. I've lived it. So I know what business owners want.
I can appreciate that. And you can relate to certain applications or implications from a tax perspective, how that affects the business and whether it's growth trajectories or hiring somebody else or building a department. And you can ask, I think, very thoughtful questions around how to get me thinking or a business owner thinking how it'll impact the business.
I try to do that, and taking that a step further, I've been in your shoes, starting a business. And as well as, other clients' shoes, starting a business and all the pain, all of that.
All the triumphs,
Exactly. I think it helps me be empathetic to our clients. It's not, it's not just numbers. It's everything else.
Absolutely.
Along the way, I was fortunate to serve as president of the Kentucky Society of CPAs. Served on that board for several years before that. And then I was the chair of the Kentucky Board of Accountancy after that.
So, and I just want to remind the audience, Bob went back to get his CPA at 50?
Correct.
And then you served on these boards.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just reiterating that.
I founded the firm in 2011 with me, myself, and I. And it was immediately after I got my CPA license and after selling my share of the coffee business that I was in for 25 years. And I really had the great fortune of going to U of L business school. The professors there were incredibly helpful to me. I think they took pity on me because I was so old, especially Bill Stout, who was the director of the accounting program. He actually helped me develop my business plan and tested the numbers and that type of thing. And spent a lot of time with me, helping me. And then CPA friends like Ray Strothman and Darren Root, Alan Long, and others helped me actually start the firm because, I'd never done this before.
You had a support system.
I did. Without it, I couldn't have done it.
That's amazing.
And so, while I try to help startup firms or startup companies, they helped me because many times I wanted to say, screw this.
Throw in the towel.
Exactly. So it worked out well. Then when Melina Patterson, my wife, joined the firm in 2016, it really opened up opportunities for us because she takes care of the payroll side of the business and the HR side of the business, especially the payroll I don't like. And so it allowed me to focus on running other parts of the firm. And so things took off from there. So now we've got 23 employees, including 8 CPAs on our staff. We're a non-traditional firm in that we don't, do a lot of taxes. We do taxes for our BOSS clients. BOSS is our engagement back office support system, where we're doing client accounting services for our clients. We're doing payroll, paying the bills, financial statements, reconciliations, and then combining all that with business planning and tax planning throughout the year, and then rolling it into a tax return for the company and the owner at the end of the year. It's worked out really well. So we combine the services of a bookkeeper along with the services of a full-service CPA group.
And you went from one person to 23 in, 12 years? I mean,
12 years, yeah.
So pretty incredible.
We've been fortunate. I have to say, we've been very fortunate. We were recently named to the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies in the country, and we've won the Kentucky Restaurant Association Supplier of the Year twice, and that's really the award I'm most proud of all the awards we've won in my coffee company and here. Those two were two milestones for us because we focus on the restaurant industry.
I was going to say, why was that the most important? So tell us a little bit about your journey thus far, being a non-traditional CPA firm. You're in the restaurant industry, obviously. Tell us about your journey so far with AI.
So I don't remember the exact date, but it was just a couple of days after AI was announced to the world, and they had a big press release, and it was a big deal. Our entire CPA professional staff, we were in Texas for a technology seminar, and it had just been announced. And so they had people lined up to tell us what it was going to be. Of course, if you've never seen it before, it's hard to wrap your head around that.
No, like ChatGPT.
It was for me. It was hard to wrap my head around it. Really no one knew what it was. But they did a pretty good job, I think, of trying to tell us, what to look for and what they saw in the future. And they even produced a little video by talking to it, and it would, produce a video, which that's, I don't know what purpose that has for us in the industry, but it was pretty cool to see it.
Training. Training
Exactly.
Possibly. How coincidental that you were at a technology conference then when ChatGPT kind of rolled out.
Scheduled a year in advance. So.
Wow.
But yeah, it worked out well. But since that time, we have attended countless hours of training on AI, as well as the ethics part of it, the legal part of it, and then how to develop firm policies surrounding it, that type of thing. Because my biggest fear, and that might be a question for later, but my biggest fear is security. So we spent a lot of time talking about that.
Well, and what I appreciate about you saying or sharing that is from, again, conversations, not on this podcast, but just about a fear is, it's going to replace me. I'm a CPA, it's going to replace me. And what I love is you don't fear that. You fear the security side of it. So what about from a security perspective, what makes you nervous?
AI in general is out there for the open platform for the world,
The public.
Yeah. And so, obviously we deal with confidential data from our clients, and we can't divulge that. I mean, it's just, you don't do it. And so, the big concern is making sure that confidential client data does not get into ChatGPT or AI. And so what we've done is working with one of our technology vendors that we have in the firm, RightWorks is their name now.
I thought it was RootWorks. It's RightWorks.
Well, it
used to be
RootWorks.
RootWorks. Okay,
yeah, so
now it's
they've
RightWorks.
changed their name a few times. They actually developed a AI cloud, if you will, or an area just for us, just for our firm. So our stuff stays there. And so we're able to then take our resource data, our training manuals and any materials that we've gotten from CPE classes. They were especially good. We can upload that all into it. Securely, yep. And we can also use that for a working environment for other things that we're doing for clients. And they've got the SOC 2 data, I believe is what it's called.
SOC 2 Type 2, yeah, the security.
And so, we know it's not going to go out of that space.
So we kind of just covered something a little troubling, which is like, potential security issues with AI. Let's get into like another territory of what's within the accounting industry is there to be optimistic about when it comes to AI in accounting?
From an opportunistic standpoint, it's going to offer us a lot of time for one thing. Our industry, our profession as a whole is seriously short of CPAs. It's a huge gap. And it was started, it's been going on for quite some time, but we got hit hard during COVID. And so a lot of people that were, people my age were coming up and retiring. And when COVID hit, they just stopped. And so we were down like 300,000 CPAs in the country. And then the accounting students have been slowly through time, the last 10 years or so, the accounting population is going down in the schools. And when COVID hit, it went to nothing.
It's a little scary.
And so that's coming back, but it's going to take a while for that to start catching up. And then the baby boomers are almost retiring out, but still there's about 30% left to go. And so there's a huge opportunity for people that want to be a CPA because there's a huge shortage there. So to your question, CPAs that can use and learn to use AI and embrace that technology, the time is what they don't have. And so it will help them fill that gap. I think it's a huge opportunity for CPAs and CPA firms, especially. And a lot of the larger firms have already started that process, even though it's 18 months old at the most. They're well into it. I read on it, and they're just investing all kinds of money and resources into it to try to get them ahead of the game because we're little of us, and we have the same issue. And, the big four, the big six firms have huge people issues. They're just short of people. And so this helps fill the gap. They're developing the technology to use in their firms. And then the technology providers are building upon that and pushing it down to the small and medium-sized firms for us to use. I'm really looking forward to it. The stuff we've seen has been extremely good. We got to learn to deal with it. CPAs don't like change. So, it takes some change management skills. I think that's everywhere, but especially in a CPA world. We have to test it, make sure it's secure, make sure everyone feels comfortable with it, and then start moving it out.
Yeah, but I would assume, I'm making a huge assumption, but when I think CPA firms, again, I think that you all are non-traditional in the sense you're already using it. You're already implementing changes into your process. You're not really fearful of it taking away your jobs. You're excited about the opportunity. Do you feel that in your industry, most CPA firms are aligning with that belief? Or do you think that they are fearful of what their business looks like in 5 to 10 years?
I think it's coming, it's building. And I think that the hesitation is one from, it's just change, and it's totally different than anything anybody's ever seen.
Unprecedented.
And what we're doing has worked,
Yeah.
It just may not work in the future. But I think that it's going to either break down to firms that embrace the technology and learn to flourish with it, thrive with it, and those that don't do it,
don't change,
and probably are going to get left behind because they're not going to have the time to do, they can't do as much in an hour as we can, or a firm that's embraced AI once
Exactly.
they learn how to use it.
Could we get a little more in depth in terms of these specific areas within accounting that automation could most help with?
The easy stuff is what we've started with right now. We've always had research materials out there, but you had to put in specific codes and specific words to make it come up. With AI, you really just talk in plain language, and then you start drilling down on that, and it's interpreting what you're saying. So it makes it go faster, not always right, hallucinates. So when I do it, I always ask it to provide the citation so I can go back and verify the information. So I'm doing verification instead of actual finding the material and reading it. So it helps speed that up. Hopefully you've noticed I can write more intelligent emails now because I use it for...
I have noticed.
I'm sorry to hear that, actually.
I'm just kidding. I get excited when we've had guests on this podcast and they talk about change. And, I think there's a lot of peers of yours, possibly same age. They own a business, CPA business, and they are afraid of change. And I love that you've taken all these steps to implement it, not just from your firm, but you're using it to write emails. You are seeing all the ways in
I use it for that. And a big win right off the start was writing response letters to the IRS because, they're great at just generating all these form letters out to clients. And
templates, like a template.
Yep,
Okay.
Yep. And so, and we've written some and we've got them because they give a specific number to each one of the form letters that they send out. So the ones that are frequent, then we can use AI to tweak it where it needs to be tweaked, but it saves a lot of time doing that.
They seem to have a lot of rules, the IRS.
They do, yeah. More than they need, but that's a whole nother
That's another podcast.
One thing that we have not figured out how to do yet, but I've seen it done, so I know it can be done, is to customize charts and graphs instead of using PowerPoint or Excel, where you really have no flexibility in what it's going to look like. With AI, because ours is called Spark. So if I say Spark, that's what it's referring to. Spark can actually customize it. I've just got to learn how to do it.
Like the graphs.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I think that will allow us to provide potentially more interactive
conversations and better quality.
Exactly.
I think.
Yeah. That's kind of the goal with that. And hopefully even do it faster.
So a lot of, we talk to people from all different industries that come onto this podcast. And a question I kind of like to ask them is what parts of your kind of either within your industry or just within your actual role itself would you not like to see automated or that you believe should always have just a human doing the work?
Clients of our profession expect the debits and credits, the tax stuff, all that stuff is blocking and tackling. It's got to happen. It's just part of the deal. Some of that, significant part of that, can probably be automated or at least accelerated through AI. I hope, and I don't believe ever will, or at least not in my lifetime, is the human interaction. Being able to look at the numbers, look at the balance sheet, look at the trends, those types of things, and understand the client. What does that client want?
What are they trying to solve too?
Exactly. What's the important part? Because it may not be the bottom line. It may be something totally different. You may want to be investing, know you got to invest in the company for 2 or 3 years. You're going to have to eat it for a while. AI is probably not going to know that, but we would know that. That human interaction, I think, will always be there to some degree. And hopefully what it will allow, AI will allow, is that we've saved all this time on all this rote, mundane, boring stuff that nobody likes to do, but it has to be done. Everything builds off of that to allow us to do all the other stuff that's fun, which is, that's what I like to do. If I could do 2 things all day, it would be Rainmaker and meeting with clients. Those are the 2 things that I like to do. All the rest of it, I really don't. But it's still got to get done. It's got to get done right. So hopefully, it will help us just save time, go faster, be more thorough. If you're reviewing work versus actually doing the work, you can tend to drill down deeper, and because you're not spending a lot of time on it.
Have you had, so far in your implementation of AI with Patterson Company, have you had clients that are pushing back with you utilizing AI, or maybe afraid of that, where, hey, are you using AI to do all of this blocking and tackling and et cetera? Or has that not been an issue?
No, it's not been an issue. I think our clients trust us to do the right thing. AI doesn't go the last mile. Best case for us, I think, is getting us 50% of the way there. And so it's getting us started off of square one. It's helping us sort stuff. It's helping us look at trends, those types of things that, typically we would have to have done manually or in Excel or something like that. So I think it's only making us better. We've taken all the security steps that we could possibly take. And even with the high security that we've got in our own space of AI, we still don't use client names. So there's no confidential data even being put in our own AI space. I don't think there's a security issue. A lot of the stuff that we're doing in AI is basic, mundane stuff.
And it's, the benefits to the client.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because if it's taking time away, so we're not having to raise prices to cover all that time. And in our case, we're primarily a fixed fee type of engagement. And so if we can save time on stuff that I don't want to say doesn't matter, but doesn't matter who does it. It's probably a better way to put it. Doesn't matter who does it. Then we can provide more time on the higher end stuff that is more valuable to them and more fun to me.
Are there any questions that you just have about AI, either within your industry or in general, that you would like to have answered?
What's the future hold? It's still, every time I start working with it, we've got a team in our firm that started, that's working with it, testing it in the various areas of the firm on how they've been assigned the task of learning new ways to make it better. And so, they come away with new stuff all the time. Little stuff, it's incremental. It's building incrementally. I'd love to see what it's going to look like in 2 years or even a year from now.
Well, let me know that crystal ball when you discover it. Obviously, you work with a lot of business owners, restaurants in particular. Have they come to you and said, hey, how do I implement this? Or are they thinking about implementing AI within their business? Are you having those conversations?
No, up to this point, we have not. But I know that some of the technology that's going into restaurants in their POS system, in their payroll system, because we're pulling payroll out of that stuff, are starting to implement AI in there. There's some food cost management programs that are on the market now, and they're starting to incorporate it. So they haven't come to me to ask about it. They have asked us to look at that specific application, and we see it, but it's not because it's AI, just because it's, a new type of application, make sure it works.
Do you see, again, and I know this is a crystal ball question, but on the tax side, do you see advantages possibly in the future to businesses who are implementing this technology?
They're renting the AI space, and that's going to be a cost to the business. But as far as the technology itself, I'm not certain.
Yeah. The reason why I ask is, on the automotive side, you have an incentive tax credit if you buy an EV vehicle. Well, is there a credit if I, as a business, am paying more for technology that maybe has AI, so that ultimately it kind of, raises the collective technology as a whole? And do you foresee there being any incentive on that?
I haven't seen that proposed in the IRS stuff that I have seen. Stranger things have happened.
Bob, thank you for being our guest today. If you had to leave the audience knowing they're probably fellow business owners, colleagues, or in the CPA world, a piece of advice when it comes to AI, what would you leave them with?
I think I would leave them with, get in there and try it. There's even a free version. And as long as you're not putting in confidential data, just get in and try it and just start asking it questions and then building upon those questions. That's, really the way I got started, and just start looking at the art of the possible.
Yeah. Don't get overwhelmed by the marathon, just one step at a time.
Yeah. Don't be afraid of it. It's actually easy to use once you get over that hump.
Love it. I love to hear it. So Bob, if they want to get in touch with you, the audience, how do they find you?
Find our website at patterson.cpa, or my email is bob@patterson.cpa.
Okay. Patterson.cpa or bob@patterson.cpa.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Bob. We've appreciated learning a little bit about your industry and Patterson Company.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for listening to Go AI. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and review our podcast so we can continue to grow and offer more great AI content. If you're looking for digital marketing, digital transformation, or AI help, make sure you visit www.guardianowdigital.com. Have questions? Email team@guardianowdigital.com for answers. See you next time on Go AI.